Hello everyone, welcome to the theory class. Today we're going to be covering lesson 7, and our main concept that we're going to learn today is going to be the long I, long U, as well as the long E. Okay, before we get started with that, let's go ahead and do our evaluation for lesson 6. Okay, so this is the only thing that you will be doing on your machine for this lesson. Otherwise, you'll be taking notes on the handout. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you print out lesson 7 handouts so that you have those to make notes when I explain the lesson. And let's go ahead and do our evaluation for lesson 6. See how you do. Number 1 is the brief ask. Ask any question that you may have. Ask. Number 2, note. I will note about the occurrence. Note. Number 3, meat. Did you eat meat for dinner? Number 4, the brief in. Let's go in the room. In. Number 5, star. Look at the bright star. Number 6, maze. Let's go through the maze. Number 7, credit. I have some credit on that card. Number 8, some. I have some things to do. Number 9, state. Will you state your name? Like a fuzz or something in my eye, excuse me. Number 10, net. Grab the net so we can catch the fish. All right, let's look at those. We'll look at our keyboard chart here. I'm going to point to what you should have. You're going to read your steno notes and see how you did. Okay, number 1 is ask, initial SK. Ask. Number 2, note, N, long OT. Number 3, meat, eat the meat, MAET. Number 4 is the brief N, initial N. Number 5, star, STAR. Number 6, maze, M, long AZ. Make sure you don't write it with an S. That would be mace, like he sprayed me with mace. That has to have a Z, maze. Number 7, credit, initial KR. Number 8, the brief sum, SM. Number 9, state, ST, long AT. Number 10, net, NET. All right, so if you missed more than 1 or 2, you need to go back and redo that lesson and practice that, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go through lesson 7. Again, our most important concept that we're going to learn with lesson 7 is our long I, long U, long E. All right. So we already know how to write those vowels that are short. So today we're going to learn the long vowels. Those vowels, if they are long, will say its name. So if I say kite, the I says its name, so that's a long I, as opposed to kit. So you have it for the short I that says its name for the long I. Same with E. Let's see, let me give a good example here. Met would be with the short E, and meet would be with the long E. Let's meet for dinner. Then we have the long U. Mutt, that dog is a mutt. That's a short U versus mute. Put the music on mute. Long U. The U says its name. So that's how you know if it's a short vowel or a long vowel. Okay, so to give the vowels E, U, and I, the long sound, we have to put the letters A, O in front of it. Okay, in the same stroke, in front of the vowel for the long sound. So these vowels will be treated in 3 separate sections that you're going to see in the handout. Okay, we kind of separate them so it's not too overwhelming. Okay, so the first one that we're going to tackle is the I, long I. So the long I sounds like saying the letter I, and it's created by striking the A-O, the E-U. So our short I, we already know, is E-U. So our long I is adding the A-O, E-U. It's all the vowels on our machine. That's our long I. So it's very easy. You just take your thumbs and you strike both of those. Left with the A-O, right with the E-U, okay? All right, so as you practice each pair, listen for the difference in the sounds of the letter I. Be sure to use long I to represent the long I sound. Okay, so let's look at some of our words. We have pill, P short I-L. Then we've got pile, P long I-L. Okay, hid, H-I-D, and hide, H long I-D. Miss, M-I-S, short I. Mice, M long I-S. Till, T-I-L, and that's a short I. Tile, T long I-L. Kit, K short I-T. Kite, K long I-T. Tip, T short I-P, and type, T long I-P. So even though type is spelled with a Y in the English language, T-Y-P-E, it has an I sound, so we write it phonetically with a long I. Okay, mit, M short I-T, and might, M long I-G-T. Now let's talk about mit and might. Preferably might. Anytime we have a word that's spelled G-H-T in the English language, we're going to add the G to that. And that takes a little bit of practice because it's kind of a funky little, you know, your fingers are kind of having to bend a little bit. But you will get used to it, especially with practice. So go ahead and highlight might. That's one of those words, M-I-G-H-T. So the way we write it is, we don't just write it as M long I-T. We write it as M long I-G-T. So the G is struck with our ring finger on our right hand, and then the T is struck with our pinky. So make sure you're striking both of those just as hard, like the G just as hard as the T and vice versa. Okay? So that's how we write might. So highlight that so it stands out. You don't leave off the G. We're going to learn this with all of the GHT words like light, might, sight, right, and so on. Okay, so let's look at our next set of letters or set of words. We've got lit, L-I-T, short I. Okay, then we have light. There's a GHT word. So we're going to write that as L, long I, G-T. Okay, so if it's spelled in the English word as G with a GHT, we follow it up on our machine with GT. Okay, knit, and short IT, night, N long I, GT. Okay, now you'll notice we have the other night, K-N-I-G-H-T, as in the night will fight. That is going to be flagged, N long I with the flag, GT. That's one of those words that doesn't come up as often. The knight in shining armor, that doesn't come up as often as night. It is dark at night. So that's why we flag K-N-I-G-H-T, because we have to decipher between the two. So we're telling our dictionary and our software that we're talking about a homonym that is a different, you know, the knight in shining armor is different from the knight, N-I-G-H-T. So we have to flag that one, okay? And just tell yourself, well, K-N-I-G-H-T, the knight in shining armor, is not going to come up as often. Okay, so let's look at the next set of two words. We've got tit, T, short I-T, okay, and tight. There's a G-H-T word, so that's written T, long I-G-T. Okay, bit, B, short I-T. The dog bit me, bite, B, long I-T. Okay, now if you notice next to that one, we've got B-Y-T-E, and that just means a unit of digits of memory size. You hear that with computers a lot. That is going to be flagged. Again, we're not going to hear that one as often, B-Y-T-E, bite. So that one is the flagged word, and that's why we flagged that one. So that's going to be B, long I, with the flag, T. Okay? Then we have sit, S, short I-T. Sight, S, long I-G-T. It, you know, in English it's spelled S-I-G-H-T, so we're going to use our G-T. Then if you notice, we've got two more sites. We've got S-I-T-E, which just means like the accident site. That is going to be written as S, long I-T. We don't put a G in that one because it's not spelled with a G-H-T in the English language. Then we have cite, C-I-T-E, which just means it can either be a verb or a noun, a quote as evidence of an argument, or it can be a citation, as in cite the witness and give him the oath. Okay, that's where we get that from, cite. Okay, so you have two options to write that cite, C-I-T-E. You can either flag it, S, long I with the flag T, or you can write it with a KR. And we haven't had that yet, but the KR on the initial side is how we write our C. So because this cite is spelled in English, C-I-T-E, we can write that on our machine as KR, which is our C, long I-T. So you have a choice. You can either write it with an S and flag it, S long I-T with the flag, or you can write it with the KR, which is the C, and you'll learn that in the future, one of the future lessons, KR long I-T. It's totally up to you. I personally like to flag it. Cite the witness, I flag it. That's the way I like to write it, but you have a choice there. Either one is okay. All right. Now let's go down to 7.2. Let's look at that. Those are practice sentences using our new long I words. So you're going to see a combination of short I versus long I. And again, if you aren't sure how to write one of these words, just look up at the top and you can refer to that. Okay, I always recommend that you do a run through before you actually start the homework so you kind of get a feel for how these words are written. Okay, all right, now don't forget, if it's underlined, that means that you're going to phrase it. So it's one stroke as opposed to two. So if you look in at line 1, the second sentence, will it be tile or a rug in a rug? It be. We can phrase that. It be, initial T, final B, it be. So that's why that is underlined. If you have to, highlight all of the phrases that are underlined so they stick out for you. Okay, so you've got your practice sentences there. And again, if you are having a hard time remembering how to write each site or each night, you can go ahead and write it above the word on your handout. Write it in steno. Okay. All right, so let's move on to 7.3 using word pairs, short and long U. So 7.3 is going to cover the long U. So let's read this. The long U sounds like saying the letter, the sound of U in the word tube as opposed to tub, and is created by striking A-O-U. So our short U is just striking the U. Long U would be A-O-U. Okay, as you practice each pair, listen for the difference in the sounds of the letter U. Be sure to use A-O-U to represent the long sound. So we have mut, M-U-T, short U, mute, M, long U-T. Okay, now let's look at our handout here, tub and tube. Let me get my pointer here. Tub, T-U-B, short U. Tube, T, long U-B. Then we have cub and cube, K-U-B, short U. Cube, K, long U-B. Again, we make our long U by throwing in the A-O. A-O-U is the long U. Okay, cut and cute, K, short U-T. Cute, K, long U-T. Butt and butte, B-U-T, short U. And then we have butte, B, long U-T. Rub and rube, R, short U-B. Rube, R, long U-B. Mole and mule, M, short U-L. Mule, M, long U-L. Okay, let's look at purr and pure. Now purr, we are going to flag that because we will get a brief later on in our lesson for purchase. So the way we write purchase is P-U-R. I'm sorry, P-U-R. So purr, the cat will purr. That has to be flagged. P, flag, U-R. Okay, so don't forget about that. Make a little note on your handout. Then we have pure, P, long, U-R. All right, dull and dual. Dull, D, short U-L. Then we have dual, D-U-A-L, which just means double. Okay, double, that's going to be D, long, U-L. Then we've got duel, D-U-E-L. That means a fight, okay? That one doesn't come up as often as dual, meaning two. So that's why we do flag that one. Now, again, you are going to have the choice. You can either flag D-U-E-L as D, long U with the flag L, or you can write it as dual in two strokes. That's your choice. The way you do that would be writing it as D, long U. You're going to hit those keys, lift up, come back for E-L. And when I say come back for, that means in a second stroke. So I'm going to push down on D, A-O-U, and then I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to push the E-L and lift up. And when you go to read it, you're going to see two lines. You're going to see D-A-O-U, and then the next line down, you're going to see E-L. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn how to read that and read it as dual, okay? And we're going to learn more about multi-syllabic words in a future lesson. But because this is coming up now, I need to explain that to you. So again, I prefer writing dual as a flag, okay? The fight dual, I flag it, but it's up to you. You have a choice there, okay? All right. Now in 7.4, we've got some practice sentences. Again, all of the phrases are underlined, so it gives you a little hint what you have to phrase. Tie up the mutt. Make sure you phrase up the. Okay, he was mute about it. The date was dull. It was a dual set. He will dual. Okay, so that one is going to be flagged. And if you have to, if you're having a hard time remembering which dual to flag, you can always put a little asterisk right above that so it's a reminder, or you can write the whole word in steno. Okay, that's why we have this, that's why we have practice. Okay, so that's 7.4. All right, let's look at 7.5. We're going to get into long E words. The long E sounds like saying the letter E and is created by striking the AOE. So short E is just E, long E is the AOE. Okay. All right, so let's look at 7.5. We've got word pairs, short versus long E. All right, let's look at some of these. Hell, H-E-L, hell. Then we have heel, H long E-L. Met, M-E-T, meet, M long E-T. Pep, P short E-P, peep, P long E-P. Ned, now Ned is a proper name, so we're going to flag that. N with the flag, E-D. Need, I need you, N long E-D. Her, H short E-R, here. Let's go over here, H long E-R. Step, S-T short E-P, steep, S-T long E-P. Nell, meaning a proper name, N flag E-L, Nell is my sister, and then kneel, kneel down, N long E-L. Red, R-E-D, read, R long E-D. Okay, we're going to talk about the other read on the next page, but for now, this is we're talking about the tall grass, the reeds, which is tall grass, and because we're learning long E, that's why we're focusing on the long E. Okay, then we have per, P short E-R, peer. That is my peer. That's going to be P long E-R. Then we've got pier. Let's walk on the pier. That one is flagged. P long E with the flag R, which makes sense. Peer, P-E-E-R. She is my peer. That's spelled with an E-E, so that's why we write it with a long E. Okay, then we've got peer, P-I-E-R. That is the one that we're going to flag. So if that helps you, just make a little note there. Peer, P-E-E-R. We use the long E because of the spelling. Okay, let's look at line 6, wed, W short E-D. Then we have weed. This is the contraction, weed. Now, we are not going to learn contractions for several lessons from now, but I had to introduce this to you so you understand why we have to flag weed, as in the weed will grow in the ground. Because, I want it to make sense. So I want you to still practice it, but just know that contractions will come at a later time. But I still want you to write weed, the contraction weed, as W long E-D. Okay, weed gone to the market. Okay, then we have weed, W-E-E-D, as in he smokes a lot of weed. That's going to be flagged, W long E with the flag D. Okay, and that is why we have to flag the weed, the noun weed, because we don't want it to conflict with the contraction weed. Okay? All right. Looking at 7.6, we've got practice sentences. Again, if 2 words are underlined, that means that you need to phrase it. Okay. Now, I want to take note, line 1, the second sentence, it says, will you marry me? Me is a short E because it's a pronoun, so make sure you write that down. Anytime we have a personal pronoun, it's going to be written with a short I. Okay, so whether it be I, the pronoun I, that's written just with a short I, because the I on our face is going to be the long I. Okay, me is going to be M short E. Okay, you is just our U, it's not a long U. We is W-E short E. She is S-H-E short E. Okay, that's our only exception, is if we have a personal pronoun, it's going to be a short vowel. Okay, so make a note of that. I, me, you, we, she. Of course, he is just our E, okay? All right. Moving on over to 7.7, we have a word drill. We've got deed, mute, light. Again, this is focusing on all of our new long vowels that we just learned, okay? Light is spelled L-I-G-H-T, so we're going to use the G-T there, okay? Heed, cue, bite. Make sure you're using long vowels, okay? Not short vowels. Seed, use, tight. Now let's talk about use. We've got use and use. Depending on how it's spoken in a sentence, you're either going to write it with a Z or an S. So if I were to say, you can use my car, that would be long U-Z. But if I were to say, the bathroom is in use, that would be long U-S. So you're going to write that according to the way it's written in the sentence, okay? Now, obviously, with this word drill, it shows you to use a Z, so you're going to use a Z, okay? It's used more often that way anyways. Then we have tight. Notice the GT there. Key, muse. Notice that's a Z, not an S. It's not muse, it's muse. Okay, rye, keel, sue, meaning they will sue you. We don't flag it because it's not somebody's name. Kite, knee. Notice the knee is spelled K-N-E-E, but we write it phonetically, just N long E. Mule, tie, sheet, dual, D long U-L. Night, don't forget your GT there, N long I-G-T. Keep, suit, high. Now let's look at high. I like to fly high in the sky. That's going to be H long I. Now, the other high, H-I, she said hi to me today, is going to be flagged. H long I with the flag. Okay? Just think of it as the word high, H-I-G-H. We will go high in the sky. That comes up more often than she said hi to me. So that's why we flag H-I. Okay? Then we have beer, B long E-R, shoe, S-H long U. And don't let the spelling, the English spelling, mix you up on that. Even though it's spelled S-H-O-E, it's pronounced as a long U, shoe, S-H long U. So that's why we use a long U. Lie, as in lie, I will lie down, L long I. And then we have lye, L-Y-E, which is like an alkaline solution. That is going to be flagged, L long I with the flag. Again, it's not used as often, so that's why we flag that one. Okay, all right. So let's look at 7.8. We've got the long E and reverse EA. Okay, so this is a word drill. Again, this is getting you used to using the different homonyms. So depending on which word it is, if you were to listen to a dictation and I were to say, I want you to read your book, obviously that read would be R-A-E-D. And then if I were to say, cut the reed down, that would be R long E-D because I'm talking about tall grass. Okay, so that's the difference. All right. So let's look at some of our words. We've got read, tall grass, R long ED, and read. I will read a book, R-A-E-D. Again, don't forget the A-E is, the reversal E-A is going to be a spelling rule. Anytime we have a word that's spelled E-A, we write it as A-E on our machine no matter what the sound is. That's a spelling rule, okay? Beat, I will eat the beet. B long E-T, and then beat. The team got beat yesterday, B-A-E-T. See, let's go see the movie, S long E. See, I want to go to the sea and sail my boat, S-A-E. Then we have peace, I would like a piece of pie, P long E-S. And then we have peace. Let's hope for peace on earth, P-A-E-S. Okay, meet. Let's meet at the mall, M long E-T. Meet. We will have meat for dinner, M-A-E-T. Heel. My heel is hurt, H long E-L. And heal. You need to heal from your wounds, H-A-E-L. Okay, then we have steel. That is a steel knife, S-T long E-L. And then we have steal. She likes to steal from others, S-T-A-E-L. Tea. What time is the tea off time? T long E. And then we have tea. Let's have T, T-A-E. Okay. Going into 7.9, we have a writing drill. So if you notice, some of these are very similar, so make sure you don't mix them up. If you have to, take a pencil and you can put it on your paper and move it down as you're working your way across and down, so that way you don't lose your spot, or you can take a paper clip and do the same thing. Okay, her heel, his heel, the heel. Now don't forget, because these are just words and phrases, you want to use a comma after each one so that it's easier to read when you go back to read it. So that goes for the word drills as well. Like read, you want to write read, comma, beat, comma. Okay, and that the writing drill here, her heel, comma, his heel, comma, the heel, comma, and so forth. Okay, the only time we use a period or an interrog is if we have a complete sentence. Okay, so just a little reminder, his is going to be written as H-I-Z, not with an S. That would be hiss. The snake will hiss at you. Okay. All right, moving on into 7.10, practice sentences. The cut will heal, period. Notice the period there. Her heel was cut, period. I see the lad, period. He was at sea, period. So the main focus with these sentences is to make sure you're using the correct homonym and you're writing it correctly on your machine. Heal, the cut will heal. Make sure you're using the AE. And then her heel was cut. You're using your long E. Same with C and C. Okay. Meet and meet, steal and steal, and so forth. That's why we have this practice section, okay? All right, and then all of your words that you're going to phrase are underlined for you. Notice in line 3, the second sentence, it says, will it be war or peace? We are going to phrase it be, initial T, final B. Okay. Up the is also phrased. You, final PT. All right. Moving on into 711, section 711. We've got some conflict outlines. Let's go over those. Our first two homonyms are new and new. So I bought a new car is going to be written as N short U. Okay. Then we have new. I knew you from the past. N long U. Notice that new, N-E-W, is a shorter word than K-N-E-W, meaning there's not as many letters. So as a student, when I was a student, that's how I learned that new, my new car, was written with a short U, because I knew that that word was shorter in length, so I knew I had to use the shorter vowel. As opposed to K-N-E-W has more letters, so you need the long vowel because you're talking about more letters. That's how I remembered it. So whatever you can do to remember these things, okay? Then we have no and no. She said no, and it's spelled N-O, so we're going to write it just as N short O. Then we've got no, K-N-O-W. I know you can do it, N long O. Again, it's spelled K-N-O-W, so that's why it's the longer no of the two, so we're going to use the long O, okay? Buy, and buy. So let's look at the first buy. Let's go by the store, B-Y. So we're going to use the short I, B-I. Then we have buy. Let's buy a new car, B, long I. Again, if you compare the two, B-Y is shorter than B-U-Y. So that's why B-U-Y, we're using the long I. Okay, then we have buy, B-Y-E. She said bye to me. That one doesn't come up as often, so we're going to flag that. B, long I with the flag. Okay. All right. 7.12. We've got practice sentences. Again, don't forget to phrase anything that's underlined. Now, I want to bring up something here because I get a lot of questions about this. If you look at line 5, the second sentence, stop by the shop. A lot of times I have students that ask me, can we phrase by the, which is B-I-T, but that's bit. I got bit by the dog. So that's why we cannot phrase by the, B-I-T, because it conflicts with bit. Now, when you get into speed classes, if you want to flag by the, then you certainly can do that. That will be an option for you. But in theory, do not phrase by the. Okay, that's why it's not underlined. Okay? Make a little note of that so you don't forget. All right? We have a lot of people that want to phrase by the, which you can once you get into speeds, but you're going to have to flag it so your software knows we're not talking about bit. All right. Moving over in section 7.13, we have practice sentences. The rug is a high shag. There we can phrase is a, S-A, short A, because it's a phrase. Otherwise, if we did a long A, it would be say. Okay. The rug is a low shag, period. Notice that we've got periods here. Tie up the rig, period. So we can phrase up the, U-P-T. Tie up the rig today, period. Now, let's look over on line 6. It says, can you keep it up? We can phrase it up. It is T, initial T, and then we have U-P, tup. That's how we phrase it up. Okay. Can you keep up the pace? All right, so again, we're going to phrase up the. Okay. Let's see. His kite was up high, period. I will say hi to her. So we can phrase I will. Short I, final L. And again, if we ever have the word ill, we're going to learn that eventually. That would be Y-I-L. But we're not going to worry about that yet. But yes, we do phrase I will. All right. He is due to pay it. He is E, final S. And let's see, everything else looks good there. Okay, again, just a reminder, don't be surprised in the read back sentences if you might hear a word that maybe wasn't in your homework, but just know that you've already had that concept. So maybe you might hear a new word that maybe starts with M or N that wasn't specifically in your homework, but it's okay because you have learned how to write the initial N or M, so you should be able to write that word, okay? Keep that in mind. We can't possibly put every single word in the dictionary from every concept that we learned. Like if we put every N and M word in our book or our handouts, we would have thousands of pages. So we just pick and choose what we're going to use. So if you do hear, you know, new words and in the read back, don't let that throw you off. Okay. All right. So then over there's 7.13 continues with our practice sentences. And that pretty much concludes lesson 7. So again, before you start your homework, feel free to go through and do a run through a couple of times and really get to know the long I, A-O-E-U, long U, A-O-U, and long E, A-O-E. So now you know all of your vowels. The long O is O-E, the long A is A-E-U. So now you know all of your long vowels. All right, so you want to do this lesson at least 3 times, preferably 4. And you're going to go over it, look it over, make any notes that you might see that maybe if you're having trouble with a certain word or concept or brief or phrase, write it down in your trouble book so you know what to practice. And you're going to submit that. And then you're going to listen to the read back sentences, and then I'm going to dictate those to you, and then you're going to go back again and listen and compare what you have to what I dictated to see how you've done. Okay, so feel free to do each lesson, 5, 6, 7 times. The more times you do it, it's not a rush. We're not, the great thing about online classes is you can take as long as you want for each lesson. If you want to do it 5, 6, 7 times, that's okay, because you're just getting that foundation down more firm than if you were to just do it a few times. So with that being said, let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting any other announcements. Make sure you go through, and I know what I wanted to tell you. If this is an optional step, if you would like to do this, I know I started doing this a couple of lessons ago. Optional step, if you would like to highlight any of the words from the lesson, what it does is it kind of teaches you how to look for certain things as you're reading your steno notes. So if you would like, highlight all the I's in one color. Then you're going to highlight all the U's in a separate color. Okay, all the E's in another color. So maybe yellow, pink, green. Okay, let's see. And then maybe take a 4th color and highlight all the AE reversal words. Okay, so that's optional. You don't have to do it, but it's just going to help you to learn how to read your steno a little bit better if you are highlighting and specifically looking for those words. Okay, so highlight your long E's, your long I's, your long U's, and your EA reversal words or AE reversal words. Okay, so that concludes our lesson 7, and I will see you soon in the read back portion of the class.